I'm fine. The OC didn't get this room for this audience.
I got the remote.
You know, I was there, I was here. I was there.
Can they see me?
No.
They can't see me.
No.
They're gonna turn on this camera. They're gonna see me.
No.
Who is controlling this? Oh, that's bro over there. Hey.
Have fun.
What mic?
What mic?
Okay.
There's one other mic. I heard. Yeah. It's been officially the most podcast you're about eating I've ever been a part of, but you're doing it. We're doing it. What? Yeah, it's still big. It's because it's from over there. There's no way for it to go. So I think online might be. Yeah. Oh. I heard, like, you excited, like, makes them go annoyed. Yeah, I feel like it's about. Oh, thanks. That don't. There you go. Big call. Big call. I don't like so much. Like I don't. I'm not so much that we. Well, yeah. And I wasn't. Well, I don't know that you know, I feel like there's probably about what is supposed to or is I thought with I think I'm actually.
There is?
The fitness brand Pacer Test is a multi-stage aerobic capacity.
I don't see one.
Presently gets measured with the Pacer Test. You begin 30 sales.
There's the laptop mic.
The entire OT. Yeah. Yeah. This is the regular student. Yeah. Wow. Here? Yeah. Oh, okay. For this week anyway.
Okay.
You can next week. We're not here.
You don't know.
Oh my. Oh.
Yeah, bro. Very educated. I'll tell you. They're white now.
I've been waiting for so long to show off publicly how stupid the video are. This is my chance. Like I'll publish it, I'll publish it.
Legislator.
Oh. Oh.
Nah, I'm gonna say come back soon. Come back anytime. The worst sexual. This game is freaking.
Fitness Grand Pacer Fairless now, I'm excited to welcome.
Too bad. I'm from
It's good. There's two refunds. That's why I'm taking. Yes, no, some of these deals. Here. Yeah, those two elements include. Yeah.
I can have a party. I like my keyboard. I feel like stood up and I'm absolutely.
You always make it. You always. Get down to that in the dark is right where you got it. So. And I was put the ball with the big. Was that? No, I don't think it's actually fake. So I'm gonna go. Oh my God. It's like now, we're just thinking of saying, yeah. We're gonna have to sit down. Come on. You're saying me. Okay, that time. I gotta figure this out back. Yeah. That's right now. It's a But when you're breaking this week. Yeah, when you're breaking this
I mean, first one to take the ticket before you take versus have to do it. Looks like you're trying to. Yeah. It's you understand, we don't defend her and. It's great. You only have. Nice. There you have. Yeah, I'm on my way to my full run. You said a fireball, right? I don't think you're gonna read that. Well, we're going to do that, yes. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think. There's still. I'll check it out. Hope I was going to say it's your best.
Just what I. Oh, I say no. Hey, Charles. I don't know. You don't need to take one. I do that. Oscar. It's scared. Actually, there's no actually no. It's over there. You look at the face. Cool. It's so long.
On our way to the TV.
I know because the thing. You know, I also I don't believe right to come and not before. You know,
Where are you calling?
Maybe about 5 to 10 minutes before we start, 5 to 10 minutes. I'll see. I just saw this we walked out the Started at 5:38 p.m. 5:38 p.m. Malta. This is I want to make it very obvious. I can tell them never back. We got to the guy and you're back.
Okay, let's say, but you took a picture. I think that's the-
I confirmation online with the audio. I'm just not trying
Okay. Oh, I mean, I just not gonna do it. I wanna go home, but just talk. He hopes that gets us.
Hello. All right, I'm gonna call this meeting to order at 5:38 PM. And just because. Just because of the new meeting setup, it's gonna be a little bit unorthodox today, so I ask that if you are recognized by the chair, please come up to the front podium. Please say whatever you need to say. And please speak loudly and clearly so that people online may still hear. That being said, I'm going to enter into roll call. You can please say if you're present and voting. Majority Leader Brummer,
Present.
Chairperson Fayette. Chairperson Valdez.
Present.
Chairperson Waters. Parliamentarian Bello. Legislator Black. Legislator Dreswicky. Legislator Ibezan. Legislator Munger. Legislator Maku. Legislator Markowitz. Legislator Martino. Legislator Mays. Legislator Mason. Legislator Obra. Legislator Brishendaro.
Present.
Legislator Rosario. Legislator Serbu. Legislator Serbu in the chat. Legislator Snell. Legislator Wiggins. And Legislator Wolf. Chat. And with that, we have met quorum. Moving on to the agenda, I will read our acknowledgement. Further, we recognize the wrongs done to those fortunately removed from their homelands and commit to fostering an environment of inclusion that is responsive to the needs of First Peoples through our words, policies, and actions. Next up is the approval of the agenda. Are there any motions to amend the agenda at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on into a voice vote. Are there any nays at this time? Are there any yeas? The ayes have it, the agenda has been passed. Moving on, we'll move on into the approval of the meeting minutes from September 16th, September 23rd, and September 30th. Are there any points of discussion about the meeting minutes at this time? Seeing none, we'll also move into a voice vote. Are there any nays of the approval of the meeting minutes at this time? Any yeas? The yeas have it, the meeting minutes have been passed. Moving on to the agenda, we have our guest speaker. Our guest speaker today is Kristen Swan, the Director of the Disability Support Services. Kristen, you have it.
Yeah. That's not clear.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Thank you for having me. I'm Kristen Swan. I'm the Director of Disability Support Services. I'm just going to give a brief overview of what to do and who we are, and then if you have any questions, you are welcome to ask them. So our staff is pretty small. We have me, who's the director. I've been here at the university since January, so relatively new. Before that, I was at Wayne State, their disability department for about 8 years. So there's me, so I will see students. I also attend a lot of meetings and do presentations and do a lot of the administrative work. But I also will see students for their intakes. There's also Christy Goff, who's our main coordinator. She will primarily see students for intakes. She's been here at the university for about 13 years. And then we have Lori Sarava, who is our administrative person, who helps with contacting faculty and helping with testing, just doing everything to help the office run smoothly. And then we have students who work at the front desk and serve as proctors, proctoring the testing room, and then any special needs that we have for readers or scribes, we'll have students do those services. So our mission. I thought I would have a computer next to me, so I could kind of look at it, so I don't have to look behind and look at this. So our mission, and this is out for our website. CSS views disability as an essential part of diversity, fostering a welcoming and inclusive environment for students with disabilities. We offer comprehensive support through accommodations, advocacy, and referral, help students understand university policies and practices, and partner with faculty and staff to help cultivate the full potential of our students. So basically what we're here to do is ensure that students with disabilities have access to the same programs and materials as any other student at Oakland. So we do that in a variety of ways, primarily advocacy, support through accommodations, and then making sure materials are accessible. We really do want to be an office where students with disabilities can come and get support. And if we're not the office to support them, we don't want to just send them off. We want to refer them to the correct office where they can get some support that really supports their needs, that really helps their needs. So we're trying to be a very welcoming space for students with disabilities. To that end, we're also trying to support our faculty as well, who needs help supporting students with disabilities as well. So we're working with faculty, we're working with staff, we're working with students to make sure our students with disabilities are really served in the best way so that they can have equal access throughout the university. So what is a disability? Does anyone want to share kind of name some disabilities? What's a disability? Just throw one out there. Yeah. Thank you, Kayla. Yeah, Kayla just named a bunch of disabilities very accurately. So according to the ADA, a disability is a condition that substantially limits or impairs one major life function. So the key to thinking about disability is thinking about what a major life function is. So hearing, speaking, communicating, understanding, comprehension, writing, mobility. So those are all major life functions. So if a student or a person is impaired in any of those ways, if they have any barriers, then that constitutes a disability. So it's important also to think that disability can be very contextual. So the way it's experienced in one setting may be very different than another setting. So a student can feel like they have barriers in their lab, let's say, but then in a seminar or discussion class, they don't have any impairments, or in a science class, they need support, or in an English class, they don't. So it's really up to the student to determine where their needs fall, and then we support them as they see fit. So perhaps people have seen this graphic before. It's equality versus equity. So when we look at the equality side, you see that everyone's getting the same support. So everyone has the same grades to try to see the game, but we can still see that they're not being fully supported. So instead, we look at equity. So people are what they need to be successful. So in this case, everyone is given a certain grade so that they can see the game. So that's what accommodations do. We work from an equity standpoint. So we're looking at students' needs, we're looking at students' strengths as well as their limitations, and trying to fill those gaps that they can be successful, they can have equal access. So just some DSS statistics, so you can see kind of how we're serving students. So we hover around 800 students, it seems, from semester to semester, though I do want to grow that. I think there's a big need to get our services out there from students who don't know about us or don't feel comfortable coming to us for whatever reason. But we seem to hover around 800. Though at this point in the semester in fall, we're just at 800 now, so I think we are growing, which is a great thing that our message is getting out there to bring more students in. So when you look at this, it's seeing where our disabilities kind of fall. While we serve invisible disabilities and visible disabilities, so Kayla mentioned a lot of invisible disabilities, right? A lot of those students that we serve have those invisible disabilities, anxiety, depression, ADHD, those are our major disabilities that we serve, but the list goes on and on. Really, whatever could be, if preparing for a student, if they can come to us and we provide support for their accommodations. In terms of the accommodations we provide, testing accommodations are our most common accommodation. Students with talent path or testing support will still test with their faculty in the classroom. It's students who have double time or reduced distraction or use of a scribe or a reader, they would test with us or a testing center. So in our office in Wilson Hall, we have a testing center where students come, they take their exams with us, we to them, and then we send them back to their professor when they're done. We also have some private rooms for students who have needs such as a reader or a scribe. They would go in these private rooms so they can have another support person in them to help in there, so they can have a person help them when they're. We see people throughout the university from freshmen until, graduate school, students in OUWD, the med school. But you can see from the graph that the majority of the students that we see are undergraduate students. I have started, since I came here, doing a survey of kind of satisfaction with DSS. So after every semester, my plan is to send out a survey to all of our registered students to see what we're doing well and what we're not doing well, so we can make some changes. So I just put together a few voices from our winter survey. Of course, we have negative feedback. We also have positive feedback of what's going well. So, specifically, because they helped me with the right stuff for my needs, like going to the right places for tests and having extended time, I did better in my classes than I used to. That's what we want to hear. We want to hear that students are coming to us and they're getting the support that they need and they can be more successful. Oftentimes, students don't know about an office like ours. Even if they had accommodations in high school, they don't know that they can have good accommodations in college as well. Or a lot of students try to do it on their own and see if they can just be successful without use of accommodations. So that's fine. We never force anyone to get accommodations. It's a self-referral process. Like students, they need to come to us to get the supports they need. But we encourage students to come as early as possible so that they can be successful and get all the supports that they need to ultimately be successful in their classes. Once students are registered with us, they get these accommodations and accommodation letters. And then it's kind of up to them how they can use their accommodations. They can use them for every class, they can use them, from every semester to every semester, or they can limit it. It's really, you leave it up to a student to do what's going to make them most successful. Another student voice, this is my first semester ever needing accommodation, so I wasn't sure what to expect, but everyone was nice and kind. I appreciate it. So that's what we're trying to have, a nice welcoming atmosphere for students where they can come and feel welcomed and supported. I think testing and DSS allowed me to perform better as I had fewer distractions. So students who are going to focus is a difficulty for testing anxiety and learning ability. They may want to come to us and take their exams with our office to get that support so that they can really showcase what they know rather than having a disability kind of take away their focus and what they want to test. So testing accommodations kind of allows that. And then finally, as a student with a disability, I don't always feel supported on campus with professors at events. Sometimes I feel left out. So this is kind of shows how as much as we want to be supported as an office, we really need to be supported as a university, as a whole system, so that our students with disabilities are really feeling like they're doing what they're doing, so they can welcome to events and welcome to class, that they can really be supported. So, how can student leaders help students? So I think this event does a really great job of being accessible to students, one having consumer access. It's really great for students to have all different types of ways to come to this event. So that's a great way of being accessible. Making sure that students have physical access as well as online access. Exactly. Are there multiple ways of getting information verbally, giving information verbally, as well as in written format? So giving handouts or giving information verbally. This goes for class as well as for student congress events during events on campus. Giving online accessibility. In April 2026, there's going to be an ADA update that everything online has to be digitally accessible, so that could be accessible for all students with without disability. So that will be a great update to our websites, to our Moodle courses. So everything that you're going to get is going to be accessible, so that it can be even greater access for students without disabilities. A microphone. Oftentimes in events, people don't use microphones because we just project. But students who are hard of hearing have a difficult time understanding or hearing what's going on. So we use a microphone in any of these events. Understanding that diversity, that disability is part of diversity. So we can't truly tackle all the concerns related to disability without grouping it kind of with DEI, grouping it with diversity. So we want to support disability as part of a diversity lens. And then finally, partnering with our office, if you have any questions, if you want to put on any of this, we are open for partnering, collaboration, or questions, if you have any, any type of knowledge. And then finally, what can student congress do? Starting a disability group. We have tried disability groups through our office. Oftentimes people don't like me as someone with a disability, and so those have not really taken off. But if a larger group on campus starts a group for disability, then that might take off. Yes. Which is wonderful. Yes, Emily and I talked earlier, which is great that you're bringing that. Also, having a liaison over has also reached out to me about that. Having a liaison in every department that can give feedback to you and can have someone just as a touchstone. Speakers, and then ultimately just collaborating with us. When you have any questions or any events that you wanted to work together, we are open for having conversations. That's all I got. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Kayla.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So yeah, I just have some quick few questions. First off, I mentioned earlier that one of your top 3 accommodations you give is note taking. You've heard a bit of mixed reviews. Some students just can't get access to it. Other students are using AI platforms. How exactly do the note taking platforms in your office work?
So we have a program called LEAD that we give students who have note taking assistance as an accommodation. So LEAD is actually an AI platform, but what it does is before the lecture, And then it also offers a transcript and then an AI outline of the lecture. So that's the AI component. So students can use that as a note-taking assistant, or they can use their own note-taking app. It doesn't have to be, they can just record on their phone, or they can record with a digital recorder. It's really whatever the student needs to give them access. It doesn't have to be our system.
All right, and then with that, accommodation, does that go to the professors? Because I know some have very strict no recording policies that.
So anyone who has a recording accommodation, they will receive their accommodation letter, which says what their accommodations are. And then they also receive a recording contract. And that recording contract states very explicitly that the information in the recording still belongs to the professor. So it's their intellectual property, that the information is just for the student's personal use, that it can't be used and shared with anyone else. So inside that recording contract, the student signs their recording contract. And then any student with the recording contract, recording accommodation shares that with their professor. And then they're able to record. But there are some situations where you can't record. Let's say there's a seminar or a discussion-based class, or students, for instance, in a social work program are talking about their clinical experiences, their personal experiences, that would not be recorded. But any type of lecture would be recorded.
Awesome, and then my second follow-up question to that, I know that support services was here a couple weeks ago, they mentioned they have a lot of veterans who have disabilities. Is there a secondary system where these students will go through instead of just the regular disability support services?
So the best way to get connected to us is by referring students to us, and veterans or not. So the veteran advisors can refer directly to me, they can refer to our link online, which is probably the quickest way to somebody. If someone had questions or wanted a consultation, they can always reach out to me directly. But if they want to get registered for accommodations, they would separate.
Awesome, thank you. I think this was a wonderful presentation. I pretty much covered everything, and I really like how you advocate for all disabilities, both visible and invisible. I think including disability into the DEI initiatives would be an excellent idea. And having student Congress create a disability committee, that would be wonderful. That way all voices can be heard on campus. And disabled students can express their concerns, and student Congress can write legislation to make changes for them. And I actually think the note-taking program is a wonderful initiative. And the testing center is good too. Thank you so much for the good presentation. It was very informative.
Thank you, Ellen, and thank you for getting the started. Disability.
Are there any other questions for Director Swan at this time? All right, thank you, Director Swan.
Thank you, everyone.
Moving on, we'll move on into announcements. Are there any announcements at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on into discussion. In discussion, we have preserving OUSC's role in promoting classroom engagement. It's presented by Legislator Markowitz. Legislator Markowitz, you have the floor.
Hello, everybody. So I think most of you are semi-familiar with the work that I've done over the last 3 years, but I want to make sure that everybody knows about all of it. Because my biggest fear is that it stops after I graduate, which thankfully that's kind of impossible, but OUSC's role in promoting student engagement could stop the graduation rate, and I don't want that to happen. So really quickly, just by a show of hands, have any of you guys experienced classes that you felt didn't have an impact on your life and for your learning? Yeah, it's tough, and this is the reason I started. Is because in my first semester, I felt like I was wasting my time. I felt like I wasn't learning anything in my classes. I felt like I was just going through the motions and trying to get a grade so I could get out of there, and that sucks. And so for that reason, I joined Student Congress and started focusing on student engagement. So what is student engagement? Student engagement obviously incorporates opportunities and activities outside the classroom. We already deal a lot with that. Pretty much everybody participates in that. But what is often overlooked is inside the classroom. And this is where literally the reason we are here is to learn. And so many of us have had experiences where we're just not being impacted over 16 weeks of the class. And that just can't happen. And so I started doing a lot of research, and I encountered active learning, which I encourage you, if you're interested, to scan this QR code. Thank you. And so what this article talks about is this interesting phenomenon that exists in academia, where faculty do research and they realize that active learning using strategies like group work and review games, just having people talk to their partners, any sort of in-class activities, students don't like that because they think that they learn less. And so they broke up two different groups. One of them just got lectured to, and the other one did these active learning strategies. And then they asked the students, in which environment did you think you learned more? And they said, when I was lectured to. And then they tested them, and the students were wrong. And so this is really damaging because faculty that do feedback, that do research, that know that active learning is just objectively better for learning outcomes than passive learning, do it in their classes, and then they get totally destroyed in their student evaluations by students saying, oh, they don't know what they're doing. I didn't learn anything in this class. And the reason I just threw a quote on here is because deep learning is hard. It's much harder when you have to think about what you're learning. And in passive learning, when you're just being lectured to, you can just take notes and you're like, oh my God, I'm learning so much. Maybe, hopefully. I don't feel that way, but some do. Okay, how does this work? Thank you. Okay. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. I feel like a dictator. Anyways, so I started out by creating a task force, and that was like the peak of student engagement in Student Congress. We had about 6 people that were active in it, and we were primarily just doing research at that point because we knew that if we were going to talk to faculty, we wanted to be informed and we wanted to make sure that we weren't just saying things that weren't even backed by the data. And so we wrote down a ton of things. The actual document is super long, but we can go on to the next slide there. And so the first thing is we surveyed 600 students. It was about 620 actually. And what we found is, whoa, students love review games. That's crazy. And we found some interesting results in here. But the main thing, it wasn't publishable data. It wasn't perfect. We literally just went to people in OC and said, can you scan this QR code and do this? Or I messaged a ton of people on Snapchat. But the idea was just to get a general overview of what do students think about different engagement strategies in the classroom. So after that, I started talking directly with faculty, administrators from around campus. I talked to about 25. I talked to teachers that have won awards for their teaching to get a better idea. I talked to lots of administrators and kind of their vision for teaching, and also just how to promote engagement in the classrooms. In addition to that, I served on a billion different committees that had at least a little bit to do with learning and promoted classroom engagement. Lastly, I presented at some university senate meetings, and then also I had the opportunity at the management marketing department meeting. I I talked about student engagement there as well. Okay, so then, in collaboration with university administration, this was about the time that talks of the 2030 strategic plan were in play. And so as a reminder, our last strategic plan was created in about 2024-ish. And so they wanted to redo it, or I'm sorry, it expired in 2024. And so they wanted to update it. And as a part of this update, I stood by the fact that student engagement, particularly in the classroom, needed to be a core component of this plan. And so, as you can see, all of our supporters are on the left side there. And that's a lot of faculty supporters too, because it's really important. And so as a result, we took this resolution to the University Senate. They voted on it and pretty widely voted to adopt that as well. And so now, if you look, all of the pieces of student engagement advocacy are incorporated into that plan. Usually they use terms like academic innovation also. So that was really exciting win for us. Okay, the next thing is we started organizing student panels every year. And so what we would do is it was intended to be an event for faculty and staff. And so faculty and staff would come to this event, talk to informed students about student engagement and ask any questions that they had. Because a lot of times I feel like there's this barrier between faculty and the students in their class where students don't want to be that honest with them, or if they are, it's going to be in the evaluations where they just rip them to shreds because they somehow think that that's helpful. So we've had one each year. The first two were focusing on student engagement to begin with. And the other one was having difficult discussions in the classroom. This was the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning through them. And it was their most successful event of the year, one of the most successful events. We had about 50 faculty and staff, which is really, really good. The first 2 years. And then the third year, I think we had about 30 people because we did a little bit more of a niche out there. But anyways, highly successful events, something that we will be doing again this year, and I hope will continue in the future. Additionally, the last couple of years, I've hosted an event I called Maximizing College, which was kind of the student side of this, and how can we help students themselves engage, what kind of tips and tricks can we provide them in order to make sure that they are doing their part of the learning process, which is getting engaged. I also, as a result of the panel, we founded the Pedagogical Partnership Program. It's a program through the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, which is once again informed students. But this time we're going into classrooms, we're observing faculty, and then we're giving them direct feedback. And so it's a little bit more formal than the panels. Okay, also, I have written a few different publications. One of them on the right there is through our work in the Pedagogical Partnership. A ton of work has gone into just creating resources. We actually got approved for paid positions now, so we're currently hiring and working through interviews for people that not all of us were paid for it. So that's a super exciting update. In addition to that publication, that I don't know if anybody has bought Wiley textbooks, but they also have a journal, and so it'll be in there. And then I also wrote about alternative grading as it relates to student engagement in a blog that had about 6,000 faculty and staff subscribers from around the country. Furthermore, at the annual United Student Governance Conference, which is where all the different student governments from around the state come to one location, and we have breakout rooms, and we talk about different topics. I led one of those, talk about student engagement. I think through my work, that's one of the biggest goals, is that I really wanted to see my work done at other universities. And despite making a few connections there and having about 30 people at the breakout room, nothing ended up going anywhere to my knowledge. So that's another area that I think would be really cool if somebody ended up taking over. So, as representatives of the student body, I think that it is so incredibly important that we have at least one person that is focusing on collaborating with staff and faculty and administration and making sure that we are doing everything we can to make classes as impactful, as engaging as possible, especially now that that person is no longer going to be me, at least in work. So, if you're interested, please text me, through my number up there, or Slack me. This means so much to me. I will cry a lot if it dies, so don't make me cry. Anyways, I yield to questions.
Assistant Chair Lavelle first.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a question. I just wanted everyone to acknowledge, at least appreciate all of the work that Lance has done. Because he has objectively worked the hardest out of legislatures in the past 40 years. And I believe he deserves a lot of appreciation for that. With that, I go.
Thank you.
So Legislator Lunger.
I also really like legislator Markowitz's initiative. I think this class engagement program is wonderful, and I think he's done an excellent job in conducting it. And I've actually been collaborating with him regarding class modality. And I've met with some faculty over the summer and early fall semester. And I would like to continue to work with him. And I also believe that student engagement is very important. I take a lot of online courses, and I've had some that are interactive that had like virtual labs and interactive videos and activities. But I've had other classes where it's just read, write a paper, and that's it. And it was like boring, it was unengaging. And I had no interest in the course. I just wanted to complete it and get it over with. But I really think engagement should be included in all classes, whether they're on campus, completely virtual or hybrid, and in all subjects, science, social studies, English, math. Electives, I actually think all courses should have some form of engagement and activity. And review games actually help students comprehend information. And they prevent students from getting bored, because when a student gets bored, they can easily zone out and not comprehend the information, not pay attention. And then they won't comprehend the information well on the exam. I really like this presentation. It's very informative. Thank you so much, Legislator Markowitz. With that, I yield the floor.
Thank you, Emily. I will respond to a point that you brought up, which is the fact that because student engagement in the classroom is so broad, there's so many different areas that you can address. Obviously, I haven't addressed all of them, and you aren't either. If it's something that you're interested in, you can just find your little niche. And so, for example, I haven't worked really with asynchronous classes or online classes. So if that's something you're interested in, you can take over that component. It doesn't have to be that you're taking all of it all at once. And obviously, if you have several people that are interested, then, you know.
Parliamentarian Noah.
So exactly what kinds of initiatives are you hoping for legislators to take up after you're out?
So I think the biggest thing with classroom engagement is one, that it's always evolving. And so, like, for example, this year, I was like, well, like, how could I continue to promote what I've been working on in the syllabus? And so, like, then I dedicated my time to working with the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning on updating their syllabus. And so that's like an ongoing plan. But without like predicting all the like little projects that could come up here and there, or, you know, opportunities for publishing internally to OU or outside, I would say the panel is definitely a big area. Last year, what I did is I had like a planning committee, and then the actual panelists themselves. And so that took a lot of work. The planning committee was interviewing all of the candidates. And of course, the panelists were actually at the event. So I think that's a big one. Engaging with the pedagogical partnerships program, I think, is the easiest way to make sure that OUSC and SETL are connected. I didn't point it out, but there was a couple of people that are former OUSC liaisons that are now a part of that program. But the program is super flexible. It doesn't require any particular amount of work. You can do an hour a week, one observation after you get trained up. So I think that's a very easy way to get involved as well. And then besides that, I think just being flexible and, meeting with faculty, of course, you develop like a really good relationship with a dean of one school, and you have a meeting with them and talk to them about classroom engagement. I think that's an initiative that's never really stopped for me, is just trying to talk with as many people as I can that are actually teaching classrooms about the work that I do, and hope that that just kind of perpetuates, cascades on to the other people within their departments. Great question.
Director Wasecki.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to commend you on your work here. I'm a big believer that advancements in education should center student voices, and I think getting student input on potential new methods of education is a very important part of that. So you've done more than I was really aware of. It's really impressive work that you've done. So please keep it up. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Legislator Markowitz at this time? Seeing none, thank you, Lance.
Thank you, guys.
Alright, moving on, we'll be moving on into old business. First up in old business is CB 6817. This is presented by Legislator Schnell. Legislator Schnell, you have the floor.
This bill on providing protocols to the student and Brenda, which will be governed in Kentucky Library, October 31st. A big portion of these books, they are a very big deal to Hispanic students across the men and teams to doing. I can yield the questions now on the student, there's not this year.
Are there any questions for Legislator Schnell at this time? Legislator Mason.
Just quick question, so everyone's on the same boat. What is the event exactly?
Of course, they were Hispanic this organization, it was supposed to be Brenda in the University's custody library. The event centers around the holiday, deal students with their books, and then added blocks in partnership with Payload and celebrating Hispanic heritage on campus all year long. So this is just a part of that custody. It's heritage month, it's just a very small contact with it.
Thank you.
Legislator Lunger.
I think this is a great initiative for the Hispanic Aspiring Leaders Organization. This promotes cultural diversity, but I also think it promotes environmental sustainability. Because the monarch butterfly is a key symbol of sustainability, and we are working to protect them. And I actually think having monarch butterfly decor in the library would also promote sustainability initiatives on campus. For that, I yield the floor.
Any more questions? Parliamentarian Bella? So I unfortunately not been able to get to Halen, but I love this. I'm from my Greek school, getting a supporter on the bill.
Yes.
Anybody that would like to be on as a supporter, please privately message Legislator Schnell via Slack because I do not have editing access. Are there any other questions for Legislator Schnell at this time? Legislator Markowitz.
I just wanted to express my support for this. I won't make you continue to edit at my name, but I would be active supporter if I more closely read this earlier. But I think this is exactly the kind of collaborations that I've been advocating for, and I think everybody should be advocating for, of looking for different organizations on campus and saying, hey, how can we help? $20 to have our name put out there and to have a whole nother org that now knows about us is phenomenal.
Quick correction. If anyone wants to schedule for former Vice President Glenn McIntosh, we are also donating our little tea lights to the Oakland as well. That's not money because we already own that.
I stand corrected, $40 worth of merchandise.
Are there any other points of discussion on CE 6817 at this time? Director LaSecond.
That's exactly what I'm here to say. The amount of money this will cost us would have paid the people in this room for about 15 minutes. Just spend the money, for God's sake. I yield the floor.
No, can we please talk about that? I'm going to be a little unprofessional now, so put your red flags up, so choose. I see you in the corner, Legislator Markowitz. I'll be honest. We had a wonderful student advocacy director now. However, when I started this, we didn't. And the thing I have noticed most consistently across the board, almost every single thing that I've taken on, there's one that's coming up that is $90. For this organization, that is pocket change. I leave in less than 2 months, and I am begging you all. The earplugs we have on our table, that was less than $20. And it has made a world of difference for every student I have talked to about it. I am begging you all, do not let these programs die when I leave. Look for those things that we can do that cost $20. Look for the $10 ones. Look for the emails that we can send in order to make life better for students on campus. Of course, we need the flashy things such as the Center for Excellence Teaching and programs. We need international product solutions. However, sometimes students don't need that. Students need someone who is willing to look someone else in the eye and say, hey, can we do this? Hey, can we update the number for the suicide hotline on the backup of the Grizzly numbers? That was an email sent that has now been changed permanently for future generations to have 9 and 8 on their Grizzly at the request of one student. I am genuinely taking this time now to thank you all, as Legislator Markowitz said, shamelessly, of course. Please, 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 look for the email. Look for that $20. Find a way to help out every single initiative you can. With that, I yield the floor. Thank you.
Are there any other points of discussion on this bill at this time? Seeing none, move on to the roll call vote. Chairperson Bayetite. Legislator Black. Legislator Snell. Majority Leader Brummer.
Yay.
Chairperson Valdez.
Yay.
Parliamentarian Villa. Legislator Presbyterian. Legislator Butler. Legislator Markowitz. Legislator Martino. Legislator Mason. Legislator Obra. Legislator Pichinero.
Yay.
Legislator Rosario. Legislator Stigler. Seeing a yay in the chat. And Legislator Wolf. Also seeing a yay in the chat. All right, with that, CB 6817 has been passed. Close the roll call vote. apologies. Moving on the agenda, we'll be moving on to CP 6818. This is presented by Assistant Chair Lavelle. Assistant Chair Lavelle, you have the floor. Might ask you to speak in the microphone for the record.
Just to clarify, the assistant chair is empowered to introduce bills in the presence of the chair, correct?
I'll motion that over to the Judiciary Chair to rule on that. Judiciary Chair has ruled in favor. Are there any opposed to that decision? Seeing none, Assistant Chair Lavelle, you have the floor.
Alrighty, thank you. As y'all saw at the last meeting, I presented this bill to essentially codify our menstrual product initiative into our bylaws. I didn't really get to go more in depth because we were really short on time and had to vacate our room, but that's okay. I'll go through it all now. Chair, or if you could scroll down to the actionable part of the, thank you. So this amends appendix 1 to, all of this is in appendix 1, by the way. At subsection 17, which mandates that we spend $3,000 a semester on the menstrual product initiative. It amends article 2 to add subsection 4, which adds to the description of the student advocacy director that they have to maintain staffing and accurate records of the free menstrual product initiative. Under that, it also adds that they are responsible for the free menstrual product initiative through the free menstrual product committee, which is a committee that we've run previously in the past, but don't necessarily have in our bylaws. Under that, yes. It adds staff free menstrual product initiative, regularly filling dispensers when need be underneath the legislative requirements section, which essentially just tells you guys how to do your jobs baseline. Under that, it says members may be allowed to not fulfill this requirement if they're uncomfortable with entering women's restrooms. Let it be noted, there are many gender neutral restrooms. And then it amends Article 10 to essentially just add the free menstrual product committee into something that we have to run via our bylaws.
Are there any questions for Assistant Chair Lavelle at this time? Legislator Markowitz.
Yeah, I love the bill, internalizing it. The only thing is I would suggest an amendment of slashing point D. Just because I think since a lot of people like myself are working on their own passion projects, obviously I recognize the importance of the menstrual initiative. But it's not something that like I've ever like filled products. Obviously, it's written in that like people can be exempted from that responsibility, but I think it's probably just a little bit easier if since we already tasked the director of student advocacy with being responsible for making sure that it's staffed and everything, then we don't add in like an automatic like all students have to do this. I think I would be in favor of that.
How many of you, just like show of hands, how many of you agree with that and want that? No, those, it's four, yeah, 40, 5 and 20. I will say no to that.
Okay, Legislator Snell, still have a question? Okay.
Just a, point of information says / inquiry to Assistant Chair Lavelle. Due to that extra note of you're allowed to not fulfill that requirement, doesn't that essentially say it is optional? However, we are adding it just to make sure it gets done. So thus it gives you time to focus on those passion projects.
Yes, it's more so added there just to spell out for legislators like, hey, this is a part of your job, especially for like incoming legislators. When the speaker like gives them the bylaws in the respective process, it's like, and they look over the requirements of the legislative section, it's like, this is your job. So it's included there, so they know.
Director Osaki.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sort of building off the point that Legislator Markowitz just made. I think Me personally, I would support removing that, section D as well. Because it was discussed in the legislature meeting on Friday where we talked about how. We wanted to bring staff in-house that it would only take 10 to 15 personnel to keep these stacked. If we're requiring 25 personnel to be involved, that might create a situation where there are too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. It could potentially be changed to say, or just remove regularly filling dispensers. Just making it clear that all legislators are expected to support this initiative, be it through behind the scenes work or frontline work, keeping the dispensers stocked. But I personally do not believe that as written, it's necessary to include that requirement of every member of the legislature.
That's fair, I understand that.
Legislator Mason,
Yeah, for point D, I just think that we could just make a task force and that way it would be more organized, because the word right there. I just have a problem with the word, I don't know what that means, it's kind of vague. And I feel like if it's not specific enough, it just won't get done. So if we have like an initiative, of Congress. And we have someone in charge managing a bunch of different people that want to do it, I feel like that'd be more effective and people wouldn't like. Be uncomfortable if they don't want to do it or something, like, I personally have no problem with it, but like. Someone else might not want to, so.
Right, so to address the first part, regularly essentially just means as maybe, which is to be decided by the student advocacy director based on the data that we collect regarding the menstrual product initiative. And as said there and as said earlier in the bill, there's going to be a committee created, ran by the student advocacy director, which we saw success with last year when it was ran, and we had great success with it. So that's kind of what it is. How do you go?
noting the many addresses towards point D, I will accept any motions towards changing the language on that point. Legislator Stone.
Would you be able to a friendly amendment to add in not just filling menstrual dispensers, but bundling them, packaging them, or something that gets to that behind the scenes work that legislator that director Lisecki, pardon me, got to, because I feel like the back end of it is something that is very needed. That not a lot of people are doing just because the focus is on, well, they need to get filled. But who's filling the target? Who's bundling products? Who's going out to make sure, hey, this is actually the stock. Hey, there's QR code here so people know that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd be open to adding that in if you guys would like to work with me on that really quickly, because we're kind of in a very unfriendly environment to make the amendments to things and kind of figure that out really quickly. Does anyone have any suggestions?
Director Lisecki.
This might be a little bit, I might be a little quick to say this, but
If you'd like to like moderate your
I was gonna say, it may seem like I'm a little quick to say this should be tabled, but I think that this might be better, better executed if further discussion is held before it's implemented, so I can't move, but I would suggest that this be tabled for further discussion, maybe at the next legislature meeting.
I will say, just from a lot of experience having amended the bylaws and having tabled many a bill amending the bylaws because we want more discussion. Every single time I do that, not a single person come up to me with discussion, nor do we have the opportunity to discuss it at legislature meetings or task force meetings, nor does anybody talk about it. That's dismissed the point entirely. I just think it'd be better off.
And I think your point is fair. It's sort of the reason I think my point is because there's a lot of. There is a lot of ongoing discussion about this issue and quite a few unanswered questions of who will be tasked with filling what role when increased staffing is added to the initiative. But I mean, it's up to the legislature whether to decide. That's just my 2 cents.
Advisor Miller, you start with point.
I just have a couple of comments. I've been doing some research, this has been going on as an initiative, I think since 2022. And University School Congress has had the opportunity to make this happen this entire time, and it hasn't. So what are the consequences if University of Chicago doesn't follow through with what you're codifying?
That is kind of a good question. I would say. It's very similar to a lot of the other things we have in our bylaws, as we, knowing from a lot of experience working in my role as judiciary chair for a while, we have a lot of things, a lot of policies, especially in one of our bylaws. Like just say student Congress should do this, student Congress should do this, and sometimes we just don't. So a lot of it being here, one, of course, is to ensure that we do spend money on what it mandates we spend money on, but also is there as a like physical worded reminder of, hey, do this. Sometimes like trying to ensure the longevity of it. Of course, at the moment, it's like we're just gonna like up and forget about it in the coming future, but thinking beyond that.
One other question is, the university has made an offer to assist in terms of keeping some of the dispensers full through their staff. Is that also part of, are you accepting part of that or rejecting all of that, including this initiative wholly by university students kind of alone?
So this is just running off of how we've been running it for the past couple of years. Like especially with like the budget, that's the $3,000 the mandated $3,000 expenditure is based solely on what we've been spending in the past. And of course, since it's just appendix one of our bylaws, if like what we spend on it is based on the utilization of the program, then we can just go back and edit it again. But just as of now, since we're not entirely sure, and I kind of want this in here now, that's what I have. But of course, it's super easy to go in and change. And I yield.
Maybe. Step, private initiative, either bundling products or filling dispensers when needed. That's my suggestion.
Okay. Legislator Rosario. You got this at the saying, I was gonna say, staff staff the free menstrual product initiative, as well as regularly fill dispensers needed. That's all. I yield. Legislator Snell.
Legislator Lundberg. Not Legislator Lundberg, I'm so sorry. Chairperson Ludwig. And Legislator Rosario also kind of got to my point where I was going to say legislators should be contributing to the menstrual product initiative in some way. Thus giving it that open.
Second.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to fill in with an update from the executive end of things. With regard to what Gina was talking about with the offer on the table from the university to take over part of the project. As I understand, Marcus will not be meeting with administration's negotiating representative, for lack of a better term, until next month. So we do have a little bit of time to figure out what student congress's strategy is going to be on that issue before a decision needs to be made. I yield. Thank you.
Thank you for that tidbit of information. If I could ask legislator chairperson Love if you could just come up here with me, so we just quickly work out that wording and change it so it's better. I appreciate the stuff.
I will also offer one quick point of information. Vice President Mackey's current offer is want to keep 4 dispensers to be institutionalized.
What is
The plan provided by the legislature during the legislative week will be presented during my legislative.
Menstrual product
Oh, wait, sorry, legislative Wolf.
Either bundle products.
Hi, in the chat I included language which I think could amend the item 1 part D part Roman numeral I in the chat, if someone could read that in person.
I'll get it once this is done.
Oh.
Chat, I apologize, y'all for taking you out. Legislator Wolf says, staff the free menstrual product initiative, you're facilitating the initiatives completing preparatory tasks, distributing products to dispensers, keeping records and or other necessary measures.
That is a very, very good way of doing that. I am going to accept that as a friendly amendment and add that right now. Thank you for Chairperson Ludwig for adding what you did. I think that was also very good.
Points of motion to CBC 18, go second.
I guess I'll just fill in the blanks. I sort of left with my vague language last time. It's done. Vice President Mackey is going to be out of office for the next 2 weeks, so we won't have the opportunity to talk to him for the next couple of weeks until I believe Marcus said that he has an appointment to talk with Mackey in early November. I don't know any further specifics.
Also, now one further point of information, Vice President Mackey is scheduled to come at the general body meeting on November 11th. Are there any other points or discussion, or motions to be made about CB 68? Legislator Snow.
While I recognize that this is a very imperative bill to get right, I do believe that we are sort of shifting the focus to this deal with Mackey that I think has been established. This bill has nothing to do with. With that, I motion to move to a vote.
Really?
Motion to move to a vote, by legislator Snell, seconded by, legislator Lunger. Are there any nays to the motion? Are there any yays? Yays have it. We'll be now moving into a vote.
I'm sitting. Enjoy yourself, you know. Good luck.
All right, Chairperson Payette to say. Legislator Black,
Yay.
Legislator Snell. Majority Leader Brummer,
Yay.
Chairperson Valdez. I'll see a yay in the chat. Parliamentarian Bella. Legislator Judge Reed. Legislator Lunger. Legislator Markowitz. Legislator Martino. Legislator Mason. Legislator Albrecht. Legislator Persondaro.
Yay.
Legislator Rosario. Legislator Serbu is taking a point of privilege. Legislator Wolf. Yay. With that, CB 68-18 has passed. Moving on to the agenda, we have CB 68-16. This is presented by Legislator Schnell. Legislator Schnell, you have the floor.
Okay, with that, sorry for that. I just have to quickly go off. This one, it's the one to CD 68. 15, I want to say 17. Thank you, Assistant Chairperson Morel. With the Brenda, that was $20 to this new line as well. Comparison to monthly expenses. I apparently keep not doing this kind of thing. This one gives $100 to the NAC, which is the Neighborhood Advisory Council, because they're hosting a native business panel on November 24th, which is so fun. You also should check that out because we are giving them lemonade, cookies, and water with this bill. If you have any questions.
Any points of discussion on CBCG 16 at this time? Parliamentary development. Point of information, I do in fact have editing access on this one. Anybody who would like to get on the board, please raise your hands.
I'm gonna kill myself. Get out of here. Okay, well. Val, is it okay for now? It doesn't have the line. Is it okay if it doesn't have the line above your last name? Okay.
So yeah, or anyone else have any questions? Or comments? Or discussion in relation?
Are there any other names? Any other hands?
Everyone, please raise your hand if you want to be added as a supporter. If your name has not already yet, there's your list. Thank you. Earl, Oprah, and Allison, who's with you.
Yep.
And Vice President Mia Matthews.
Are there any other points of discussion on TBTPA 16 at this time? Seeing none, we'll be moving on into a voice vote or vote roll call vote. Chairperson Fayette. Legislator Black.
Yay.
Legislator Snow. Majority Leader Brummer.
Yay.
Chairperson Valdez. He's taking a point of privilege. Parliamentarian Bella. Legislator Joswiecki. Legislator Lundberg. Legislator Markowitz. Seeing a yay in the chat. Legislator Martino. Legislator Mason. Legislator Albro. Legislator Christian Darrow. Seeing a yay in the chat. Legislator Rosario. Legislator Wolf. Seeing a yay in the chat.
Yeah.
All right, with that, CB 6816 has passed. Moving on to the agenda. There's CB 6818. This is presented by Legislator Snell. Legislator Snell, you have the floor.
I just want to start this off with, Speaker of the Board, you do have evidence. I provided, I had it to you. Again, just to reiterate, the women's ad hoc committee that I've been saying for like 2 months is never getting done. It's done. That's all. It really doesn't do it. So it has to be two. One. Ad hoc establishment. Any questions?
I just wanted to inquire whether the numbering is right because it's the same as, I believe it's the same number as the dumpster product bill. So would this be 19 or 20? Okay, okay. I just wanted to get.
That being noted, I will change it for the record, CB 6820.
After 11 p.m. has passed, so she does not have her anything correctly. And that next year.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any other points of discussion on CB 6820 at this time? Seeing none. All right, Chairperson Fayette. Legislator Black.
Yeah.
Legislator Schnell. Majority Leader Brumby.
Yay.
Parliamentarian Bella. Legislator Dreswicki. Legislator Laundrie. Legislator Markowitz.
Yay.
Legislator Martino. Legislator Mason. Legislator Obra. Legislator Fishinaro.
I don't know.
Legislator Rosario.
Let's take care.
Legislator Wolf. With that, CB 6820 has passed. Moving on into the discussion. Seeing nothing in discussion, Legislator Martino. Recognizing Legislator Martino's point of privilege. Are there any other points of discussion at this time? Director Wasecki.
Can I be heard now? All right, good evening. It's always a good day when Oakland University gets in the news. Over the past few days, weirdly enough, I learned about this from my mom before I learned about it from anyone here. Apparently, there's been a political candidate who's been tabling and talking to students outside of the Crescent Library over the past couple of days. And was the subject of a social media post that I'd say was sort of violent in the way it was phrased, and that led to the got some nasty grants to the university from some political figures calling for the student to be expelled. That's really all I know about it. I'm just thinking that it might be good to see if anyone else had any thoughts about it, because the news made it seem like there was a whole stupid uproar about it. I have heard nothing from the shakes of the heads I've heard. It seems like nobody else has really heard anything about it either. I was just wondering if anyone had any other thoughts on this matter.
Assistant Chairperson LaBelle.
I do enjoy this as a topic of conversation and discussion, although I will say this topic does seem rather political to voice thoughts on for this apolitical body, so I would probably encourage you to ask the same question once we're adjourned. I would encourage. I yield.
Legislators now.
Legislator Snow.
As much as I do enjoy the discussion that you brought to the body, I do agree with Assistant Chairperson LaBelle that it is divisive in nature and often it is a bit convoluted in the sense that it's a bit too much for this body. With that, I would like to motion to table this discussion.
Seconded.
Well, there's a motion on the floor, doesn't it? There's a motion on the floor to table for discussion. Do I have a second to the motion to table discussion? Oh, seconded by legislator Blythe. Apologies. Are there any nays to the motion? Any yeas? Yes, have it, the discussion has been tabled. Thank you, Madam Chair. President Matthews.
I saw it on the agenda, but I didn't on the but I did want to know like what had been questions about the eye conversion purchasing of. Before we asked a question, I did want to say that me and President Johnson, as the computer board, did have a conversation about not actually purchasing the eye clickers, but using the eye clicker app software and only purchasing maybe like 5 to 6 eye clickers. In case people don't have smartphones, but in that instance, we would be using our smartphones to vote and pay attendance and wait.
Point of information out of the legislature.
We had this discussion a couple weeks ago where if legislator Brummer or majority leader Brummer wishes to correct me. It wasn't that long, however, because so much has carried over from past 3 agendas, E2 has just piloted along. So I don't believe it was actually intended to be an agenda item.
Director Lasecki.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It was my understanding that Majority Leader Farmer intended this to be on the agenda at some point. It doesn't look like she's here, so now we have to go, that's all. She's here. I stand corrected.
Majority Leader Brummer.
Hi, I apologize because the audio is a little bit tough to pick up on virtually. But I did put it on the agenda previously. I just wanted to hear the input of the legislature on it. Because I know that this was something we had considered previously. In response to Vice President Matthews, in the approach of looking at utilizing the app rather than buying all of the eye clickers. If that were the case, would that kind of function like a subscription per year that would be chosen by administrations?
I asked the question regarding the comment. Majority Leader Brummer, may you please repeat the question?
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask, in response to the approach where we would utilize the app rather than buying enough eye clickers for the legislature, would that kind of function as a subscription that could be chosen to be carried on by future administrations? And if so, what would the price estimates look like with that?
So as far as the subscription goes, we already have to because they created the account for us. I believe, and they had already waived the subscription fee, so there is no subscription fee at all. So we would be able to use the app free of charge.
Okay, awesome. All right. If that is the case, a lot of the concerns that I had about buying iClickers for the entirety of the legislature.
As far as, sorry, just as far as I know, I don't want to, I might have gotten my information wrong, so double check with President Johnson on that, but I do believe that was this doesn't.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
The provost office did offer to waive the subscription fee for the iClickers, which would carry over from both the app and the iClicker physical, should we move forward that route. Director Wasecki.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question for anyone who may know, this might be something for the parliamentarian. Would it require a change of the rules to use these as a phase?
As a point of information, parliamentarian Bella, it was asked if it would require a change in rules to utilize iClickers residents. So we wouldn't necessarily have to change voting procedure, but working on the parliamentary guidelines right now that details the methods of voting. I could just describe how you answer iClickers or the voters to this. We wouldn't really have to change the rules at a meeting. Are there any other points of discussion on this one? Seeing none. Okay, legislators know.
Point of information, is there a legislating spreader?
No. It's fall break this week, there is no room for it. Once again, is there any other points of discussion at this time?
I have a point of discussion.
Legislator Markowitz.
Thank you. Sorry, I would raise my hand virtually, but I'm driving, so I feel like that would be dangerous. Just an etiquette thing that I don't know if it would qualify as etiquette, but a procedural thing that I think would be nice to adopt for Gen Body meetings. If we could institute like an unofficial rule that you have to let somebody know before the Gen Body meeting if you want to be added as a supporter of their bill or resolution. I think that would probably just help save some time, because I think there's nothing wrong with voicing at the actual Gen Body meeting that you like the bill and the reasons why you like the bill. But I think just sitting and waiting for somebody to add a bunch of extra names might be a little bit inefficient. So if we're open to it as a body, I think it would be best going forward. With that, I yield.
Are there any other points of discussion at this time? Seeing none. Legislator Snell. All right, seeing no more points of discussion, we'll be. Seeing no more points of discussion, we'll be moving on into legislative updates. Okay. Starting off with the report of the Speaker of the Legislature, Speaker DeVore. Speaker DeVore, you have the floor. Thank you, Madam Chair. All right. As I promised earlier in the meeting, I did want to present for the record, and for anybody that wasn't at that legislative meeting, the plan that was, the plan legislation they come up with, and I did present to President Johnson yesterday and Director Wasecki. In order to continue to staff the prevention products and also how we want to approach our meeting with Vice President Mackey, whatever that does come around. So what we were thinking was a building by building approach if possible. An idea by Director Wasecki. The idea they proposed was having administration take on O'Dowd, Human Health Building and Wilson Hall as they're just deemed as the most out of the way, and also like the amount of dispensers in those buildings is pretty relatively close to the amount that's currently being offered by administration. For the record, Vice President Mackey's current offer is to have administration fully staff and fund 24 dispensers. I can get this, with that being 2 dispensers per building. 5 would additional are staffed by the Oakland Center. Her legislator Wolf, who's like kind of headed up this initiative, passed 10 to 14 people should be relatively easily able to staff the initiative in-house. The These dispensers need to be filled at least once a week at most, usually being like Fresno Library. However, some buildings need to be filled like every other week or further than that. For example, North Foundation Hall was filled as frequently as some other buildings. But one thing we were finally able to agree on, actually by application, was no bathrooms whatsoever will be cut. No gender neutral bathrooms, accessible bathrooms.
I don't know what's wrong with it, but for weeks.
Okay, so the staffing, method we came up with for now, is that we're gonna keep it in-house, for now. Could potentially do like a trial period, see if we need to expand to volunteers in the future, however, is deemed necessary to maintain pay when. With the numbers we currently are working with, including the executive board and the legislature, student congress could provide 28 people to staff this initiative. SAB currently has 4 people, but we'll have 6 soon. And if we do need to expand that number in the future, Legislator Rosario provided the point that Residents Life Association could be able to help. Should we ask, it is part of their paid duties currently. So if we need more paid volunteers, we could expand to ask the Residents Life Association. Currently, the data tracking is currently being developed by Violet. It's being expanded with Director Roberts and Sage President Childers with their tech know-how. It's gonna include like the building, the dispenser numbers, how much product is used in each dispenser, like that kind of stuff. And then the model we kind of had to hold people accountable, and I call it the student engagement accountability model, is putting up a sheet next to the dispenser, which has like the date filled and then the person who fills it. So let's say Javier, you filled up the dispenser at Wilson Hall yesterday. You'd say, this dispenser was filled on Monday, October 13th by Legislator Rosario. Cool. It gets your name out there a little bit, and also holds us accountable if like, hey, I didn't fill up this dispenser for 3 weeks. What the heck's going on? That's all. We can also put on there that we have like the office number, so people can call the student congress office if something's empty, broken, jammed, do that kind of stuff. Just so we can be alerted immediately. But we could also put on there a QR code that would be linked to a form that again Violet's currently working on. That would notify the Munster Product Committee that was just passed today. It would notify them ASAP when a dispenser is empty, broken, and that kind of stuff. This form would also like help keep people accountable. It's just tracking like, okay, when is these being being filled up? How often do buildings need to be filled up? It just helps us track and have like spreadsheets, that kind of stuff. All that stuff's currently being developed behind the scenes right now. So whenever that stuff is out, it will be made public to everybody. We'd also involved with this would be updating the marketing materials on every single dispensary. Just to make them consistent, to have those like dispenser, numbers and stuff next to it, rather than like, it's for some of the dispensers, like the paper covers the product inside. So you can't see if sometimes filled or if it's jammed or something like that. So it's just making it so you can actually see inside of it and see if something's going on. That's the method that we're currently working on. I presented at President Johnson yesterday. They seemed to like it a lot. But that's what we're gonna at least be working with going forward in both negotiations with VP and just how we want to work out things. Other than that, for my update, I've been trying to manage a lot of the different projects right now. So a lot of it's been trying to work on this menstrual product stuff, but I'm keeping some other things in mind. Like for example, I'm gonna be meeting with GSD coordinator Alon tomorrow to work on the LGBTQI plus action committee that was passed a couple weeks ago. Making sure we have that all set up in a good way and also have their involvement in it. Along with working with petition, don't forget about that. Hopefully try to get coordinator Alon and increase the job title. Hopefully to assistant director. We now know who to take that to now, so now we can actually continue to work with that. I'm also tomorrow going to be tabling with legislator Schnell at I believe it's Love Responsibly with the Graham Health Center. It's gonna be in Hamlin Hall at 6 p.m. We're gonna be tabling with something like the Plan B, the Oakland, that kind of stuff. Getting some of our vending machine stuff out there and trying to publicize some of that stuff. Outside of that, I can't remember anything at the top of my head. Oh, sorry, prospective legislators. I did unfortunately have to send back two people as they did not collect all of their signatures. They were going off the ID cards and off the website, so womp womp. But we should have one going up here soon. Ellie did have their signatures waived, but they're done. We're past the signature stage, so they should be able to go up for approval in the next couple of weeks. But we should have some legislators going up for approval here in the coming weeks, which is really exciting. We took care of the last couple of remaining spots that here comes. Oh, and then what we just found out today, allegedly, there are some dispensers missing from O'Dowd Hall, through the construction, and also some allegedly missing from Barner Hall. So something, I've been working on with Legislator Wolf, and Advisor Miller, is trying to find out through like the work orders from the past couple of years, along with just trying to find like our own, like how many of these dispensers do we have? We're just gonna try to check which dispensers are missing, see if like where they all are at. Making sure that they're not just thrown away in any story. I apologize for the really absurdly long update, but with that, I will yield to any updates from legislative leadership. Updates related to legislative leadership. Seeing none, are there any updates related to legislative projects and initiatives? Legislator Snell.
I'm sorry, never mind. We pulled up the legislative update sheet. I did Swag, thank you. As mentioned earlier, I have been working tirelessly on Heritage Week and getting a series of initiatives and cultural weeks. Hi, this committee to compare Adrian Jimenez Morales. So yeah, with that, Heritage Month stuff has now been made as a line item, which makes my life easier because that means any money I don't spend can be used to the next one, which is so fun. The ad hoc committee is now finished. I built vegetables product dispensers today. That was really fun. However, fun new fact, we have another bill that they'll tell you the next month and a half I'm doing until it gets done. I met with Ann Rayford of the Graham Health Center with Clover. We discovered that our doll idea was not feasible for them at this time, sadly. However, we will be putting that money instead towards the healthcare emergency fund. It's something like that. I'm positive it's written down somewhere. It will be in the bill at some point. Yeah, just the same thing I was working on last week, which is those slides that go on the TV. Please fill out my Google form, please. And then finally, I worked with Michael Wadsworth to update the Grizz ID numbers. Going forward, they will not have the 1-800 number for the suicide hotline. It will be 988. With that, I yield the floor. I'm sorry, for more one other thing, we have a sex ed event we will be tabling at on November 5th at 5:30 p.m.
All right, are there any other updates related to legislative projects or initiatives on this time? Seeing none, are there any questions related to legislative reports? Seeing none, I'll move on to the liaison report. Are there any liaisons who wish to give their report at this time? The PCO liaison Lunger.
PCO just had their flashlight walk last Friday, October 10th, from 7:30 to 9 p.m. And there was 12 people that showed up. Some current OUSC members, some former OUSC members. I even some people from the Oakland folks. It was a lot of fun. We walked over a mile, and we got to see some autumn leaves and some nice nature. Yeah, The next PCO event, the probably be Beaver Fest. I'll see if I can have someone table Beaver Fest on Thursday, October 30th, and then I give the floor.
Are there any other points of discussion at this, or sorry, any other liaison reports at this time? Legislator Markowitz.
Yes, as the settle liaison, I just wanted to remind everybody of the excellent presentation that Legislator Markowitz gave earlier in this meeting. We already had one person reach out with interest in starting to get involved with some of the student engagement work. And since I'm still around, I can help train you up while I'm still here. So it's not like I'm going to leave you alone. So just a reminder to Slack or text me one more time since I can keep pestering you. Thank you. I yield.
Are there any other liaisons which you report at this time? None, we'll move on to executive reports. First will be the president's and vice president's report given by Vice President Matthews. Vice President Matthews, you have the floor.
So these are updates from President Johnson. He will be reactivating the presidential task force. So if you're interested in joining that, please let me or President Johnson know. We are making progress with the vending machine. We and President Johnson had a meeting with Chris Reed last Friday about getting keys for that. Also getting, putting in the purchase to get keys for that. Hopefully we're keys for that. So that's where we're at right now, but in the, that is political progress right now. And I do want to confirm with Dan, are we allowed to work Friday? Because it's not a holiday, so we can work Friday. And that's Marcus is like, my updates are. I had a meeting with the ombudsperson, with the agency to just, actually, it's actually a new position, they find this academic school year, where the residents often count interesting, student concerns, faculty concerns. And, I had a meeting with her this morning, and a lot of concerns that our students and faculty are having is just student engagement. So I definitely wanted to talk to Legislator Markowitz about engagement. Because that's one of the main points of your that she said. But yeah, it's a new position, so if you ever have a chance to have anything, I would definitely reach out to her. Her name is Stephanie Lee. And also today, me, Marcus, and during the actually had a meeting with to set up the OUNIT Capital. It went pretty well. And one of the points that was brought up was what we're going to discuss with our lawmakers. And one of the things that I brought up was political violence. So if you guys have anything else that you guys want to discuss, please let me, Director Stephanie or President Johnson know. And also me and Tania will be working with these students we're gonna have a content presentation soon. It's gonna be hopefully in the next month or so, we're gonna be doing a content presentation on behavior. And me, President Johnson, and Speaker DeWar last week had a meeting regarding the constitutional changes. I don't believe they're going up at the Board of Trustees meeting. Hopefully the next one in February. They're going up in February, and we would have to talk to Matt Wadsworth, the Vice Minister of Affairs, about just details and stuff like that. And then this week, just for your information, there is a Senate meeting that you will reach all the public. It's at 3 in the upstairs, somewhere in the upstairs. And it will be on this Thursday at 3. And also there's a Board of Trustees meeting most likely in the same exact place at 10 a.m. Here and this Friday. So you guys, those are both open to the public. So if you guys want to go, feel free. And then me and Marcus also had a chance to represent OUSC at the NAACP dinner last Friday, which is why both of us could not make the legislature meeting. And we had a really good time, and actually one of the keynote speakers was, I'm forgetting her name, but she did the criminal justice panel here last year, Bill Marion invited her, and she is the youngest female judge, I believe. Yeah, she was really, really good. And me and Marcus got to chat with the president of the university. I think that's all I have as far as the
Matthews, are there any other updates related to e-board projects and initiatives like this?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to go home. Y'all want to go home, so I'll make this quick. First things first, I was glad to work with you folks on working out how we're gonna save the menstrual product initiative. I enjoyed the discussion we had at the legislature meeting on Friday, and I think we're gonna come to a good resolution with a bit more discussion and figuring out what the specifics of that are gonna look like. So thank you all for your collaboration with me and working in that help. Second off, like Mia mentioned, we are closer to getting a working vending machine. I spent close to an hour on hold trying to figure out what part we needed to get this machine to work. As far as I understand, an order has been placed or it's in Dana support to do so, so we should have a working vending machine sooner or later. That's all I've got. Okay, my God.
Chairperson Ludwig.
As if you use my always stuff and started arriving something very excited about that. And for anybody that is registered to board, we are having our budget workshop on Thursday. Over day from 5 to 7. We'll have activities and birthdays. So please come and ask me. It's on Thursday the 16th.
Okay, I'll keep this really quick. October 1st, we had a trail walk and 25 students showed up. It was great. Last Thursday, we screened the Lorax with succulents and 23 students attended. I also had an interview with the Oakland Post about our beavers, Biopreservation and Beaver Fest. So it might be found in the featured section, and they'll also be attending Beaver Fest to write another piece. Tomorrow, NASO is hosting a Magic site tour at 2:30 p.m. And next week, the College of Eleven is hosting a sun printing event at the outdoor classroom. I will help set up a funny event, but feel free to stop by.
Are there any other updates related to board projects and issues at this time? Seeing none, are there any questions related to the executive reports? Also seeing none, I'll move on to advisor Miller.
I just have a couple of one. October 25th is a Make a Difference Day, which is doing service in our communities, all three, the Tri-County area. I really want to participate as well. You've got great sites, but we're having low numbers, which I do not understand because volunteering and these hours are necessary for many of your classes. So we spread the word and yourselves about participating. From 9 to 1, we will be here in another video for all of you. I also want to offer to all of you, and particularly if you have an interest in higher education, going into that field or into event planning. I have a Michigan Student Life Directors Drive-In Conference. It's going to be here on Friday. I'm inviting many of you to participate. It is your day off. I totally understand that. But you will be able to meet students and staff from Michigan Tech, Northern Michigan, Wayne State University, and a couple of other schools as well. And it's an all-day conference. It's legit, and you can put it on the resume. It is a casual conference, something that you have to wear a suit and tie to. And lots of discussion between our school and the other schools and what's happening there, and hopefully they can come up with some great ideas that we can utilize here as well, and vice versa. So if you are interested, please see me. I'd love to be able to attend. And last but not least, it is fall break. For some reason, I don't think a lot of students or faculty or staff are aware that there is a fall break that was initiated by University Student Congress years ago. But I want to encourage all of you to take the break. You need a break. And I understand you have the opportunity to work if you so choose to, but I'm not encouraging you to do that. I want you to have a good time. I want you to fetch. I want you to just not have to think about all of this right now. We can come back to it on Monday, but it's for your own self-care, your self-help. Please have a great time, whatever you choose to do, but take a break.
Thank you, Advisor Miller. Are there any comments from the gallery at this time? Seeing none, are there any announcements? Also seeing none, I will adjourn this meeting at 7:29 p.m. Oh, was there something? Okay, sorry, I apologize. One announcement, the director will second.
Very, very quick. You may or may not have noticed, a few offices have moved around. SAFB has moved one office to the right. The executive board has moved one office to the left, just so it's on everyone's radar. I yield. Good night, folks.
With that being said, I will adjourn this meeting at 7:30 p.m.
Hey, Riley.